Hello, welcome, hello, happy Sunday, everyone. Anyone who's coming on to join me on this glorious Sunday evening, October 30th. We just had a Halloween Day parade here where I am in North Fort Myers. So it is so good to be with you. So good to be with you. This is my first live stream since coming back from South Africa, and I'll explain all of that for anyone who's new here in just a minute. If you are joining me, please say hello so I know that you're here. I also have to explain my elephants in the background because for those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that they belong to me. And here I am with them again. How can that be possible? It has been, I've been back in the United States since September 19th. For those of you who don't know, I was in South Africa for 6 months from April 1st until September 19th when I came home. I went over there just because I loved being there, but I also went over there to recover physically and mentally and emotionally from my hip replacement and a small stroke that turned out to be a no thing. I made it a thing, but it was actually a no thing. But the truth is that what can't an elephant cure, really? So anyways, I've been home since September 19th, and I am living in a rental house while my sister and I look for a permanent home. And I'm actually living in the house of the people who bought my car and some of my pictures before I left this community in April. So if I just want you to know that God is real and that everything does work together for your good, no matter what you think, and that a positive attitude does produce results no matter what you think. And there's nothing you can say. Hi, Heather and Casey. There's nothing you can say that will convince me otherwise because I am here in this beautiful house with my artwork, just bought back my car in perfect health. So there is always resurrection after the trauma. So we'll talk about that a little bit. I'm really here to check in tonight because I am back in full force. I am revitalizing my. I don't call myself a life coach. I actually call myself a living coach. But I'm really revitalizing a life of spiritual power and all the work that we do under that name. Which is to teach and to support people in practicing spiritual principles and spiritual ideas to live your most authentic, real, wonderful life, no matter what the circumstances are. And I'm an expert in doing that no matter what the circumstances are. So I'm going to pray us in before I share with you a little bit more about that. But if you're here with me, I'm just happy you're here with me. I'm happy to have gotten up, gotten dressed, found a way to do this with my pictures in the background and to reconnect with my community. I'm actually going to be in North Carolina November 9th through 16th, and I'll be seeing many of you while I'm there. I'm also speaking at the Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Dusty Ripplemeyer has invited me to speak, so I'm going to do that. I'm very excited. That'll be my first time speaking in over a year. So that's good. It's a wonderful thing, really. It's just what the bones needed. So, all right. So let me pray us in. For those of you who are new to me, have never met me before, my name is Reverend Denise Schubert. I'm an ordained Science of Mind minister. Have been for 20 years. I teach spiritual principles, the law of attraction, the law of reciprocity, the law of cause and effect, and I run an organization called A Life of Spiritual Power, which is really just over an umbrella for doing whatever needs to be done so that each and every person can live a more spiritually balanced and amazing life, no matter what the circumstances are. No matter what the circumstances are. I want you to hear that one tonight, no matter what the circumstances are in the world, right? Because everything you need is within you, and everything important is within you as well. So, all right, let's take a moment for me to pray. Now, when I pray, we're not praying to an external reluctant deity to give you something good or to smite your enemies or to fix anything. We're not doing that. We're praying to align ourselves with the stream of consciousness that is the very existence of love, of order, of harmony, of peace that is everywhere present. And to the degree that we become aware of that, we become in harmony with it. And when we are in harmony with it, our lives tend to reflect that back to us. Now, let me pray us in. Then we'll dive into an argument about that or a conversation about that. So join with me, turn within for a moment. By turning within, I simply mean closing your outer eyes so you can turn away from your conditions. You can turn away from your conflicts, your hurricanes, your diagnoses, your relationship troubles, you're searching for work, you're looking for money, all of that, turn away from it. Simply open your inner eyes, which allows you to connect into that place and space and dimension within you that, number one, is whole, perfect, and complete, missing nothing, absent of nothing, and also allows you to tap into the presence and the power that we call God, which is both external and internal. So you and God are one. I and God are one. You and I are one. We are connected. And it's from that connection that I bless our time together tonight, knowing that whoever is here are the perfect people to be here, and that we are collapsing time and space so that my mind and your mind become joined. My heart and your heart become joined, and we are always joined with the mind and the heart of God. And so I'm grateful for all the blessings that I get tonight from being with you and all the blessings you get from being with me and with each other. So we just allow it to unfold perfectly, and so it is. Amen. So it is. Amen. So mostly tonight, I wanted to get back into the groove. I haven't streamed for many weeks since Africa, really. And if you were with me then, you know that I was on the back porch of Bush Baby Haven looking at the antelope and the warthogs and the squirrels, and I miss them so much. I can't even tell you how verklempt I am to not be in the presence of nature in that way. I'm also ecstatic to be home. So I have a little push-pull in some ways in my returning, because I really came back from that to a house with some windows that look out onto a street like everybody else's house or apartments or but I haven't really blogged since then or spoken since then, because I was here for 7 days and then Hurricane Ian hit. Now, I'm not a person, and you might be, but I'm not a person who looks for a lot of meaning in things. Like, what could it mean that a hurricane came? It doesn't mean that we don't find value, but anyway, I was here for a week and Hurricane Ian came. I was by myself in this house. I chose not to evacuate. So I instead, as soon as the power went off, which was about, I think I was watching up until about 4 o'clock, and then Ian was upon us, the eye of the hurricane was upon us, and I put my Bose earphones on, my noise-canceling earphones on, with a Yoga Nidra meditation by Ali, look her up on YouTube, it's wonderful, Ali. And the next thing I knew, at 6 o'clock in the morning, the hurricane was gone, and I survived, the house survived, and the place where I lived, the property was a mess. We lost 1,000 trees, people's houses, roofs were torn off. I mean, you all know, you watch the news. So it was just a kerfuffle, a kerfuffle. It's like a kerfuffle. uh, so then it was about mm, the mess being cleaned up and helping all the neighbors and neighbors coming together because we were without power for 10 days. No electricity, no drinking water for 10 days. So I was in a process, right? So as the founder and as a spiritual teacher, I got to walk my walk in so many ways this past year. Since November 1st was my hip replacement, November 3rd was my stroke. I, rec- hip replacement, you're on a walker for a while and then you're on a cane for a while. When I went to South Africa in April, I went there because I was kind of contemplating the idea that I might not live very long. The chance of a recurring stroke in patients is very high. So I decided that I was just going to do what I loved, and what I wanted to do was go to Africa. So I sold my house, sold my car, sold everything I owned. You all know this already, and went to Africa. And then, lo and behold, I did not die or have another stroke. I actually got incredibly healthy and strong, and all good things. So I've come back. I've come back with a renewed vision for what it means to be 70s in your 70s and 80s. I've come back with teaching about that, like what, like how does that population, which is me, and some of you, not all of you, some of you are much younger than I am, but you will be 70 one day. You will have a diagnosis one day. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the human incarnation. And I don't want anyone to say to me, well, only if you say so. It is the way. There's a Rumi poem I love that I want to read to you. It's because I've been trying to figure out how to communicate the depth of my experience, the depth of my learning. How does one communicate navigating illness, natural disasters? There are people here, my really good friends of mine, really good friends in Fort Myers, lived on a boat not far from here in the Fort Myers Marina, and their boat sank. They lost everything in the hurricane. Their whole life, their pictures, their jewelry, their TV, everything. And yet they, people have courage and they have tenacity. We are not our belongings. We are not our houses. We are not our cars. We're not even our bodies. We are not even our bodies. There's this wonderful poem by Hafiz. I'm going to read it to you. He says, "What do sad people have in common? It seems they have all built a shrine to the past and often go there and do a strange wail and worship. What is the beginning of happiness? It is to stop being so religious like that." It's Hafiz. So it's kind of this ongoing idea as a spiritual foundation for living a life of spiritual power. So I'm about living a life of spiritual power. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be powerless. And I used to be powerless, and I used to be a victim. We all did. It's the way of the world. But he's talking about how the past, you can't keep going back to the heartache. That you have to stop worshiping the past. You have to really step into the moment of now. So it doesn't really matter. Really, I've gotten just so much experience at doing this. But in fact, I've been talking to God. Here's what I say to God right now. God, I've learned my lesson. Really, this past year, hip replacement, stroke, selling my house, my car, going to Africa, coming back, the hurricane. I've learned, really, I get it. Live in the present moment. Be loving to yourself and your neighbors. Make lemons out of lemonade. I know. So one learning and one future something, whether it's classes or groups or conversations, is really about how do we live a spiritually powerful life. And by power, I don't mean money and work. I mean, it's a inside thing, right? I'm talking about what inside. How do you live that in your 70s and 80s? How do you live that when you know you're dying? How do you live that when you have a diagnosis? I call it the back nine, right? So the back nine is the last 9 holes on the golf course. And somewhere in there, whether we like it or not, the 70s and 80s, 90s are our back nine in this body, but we're not our body. So how do we bring as much peace and happiness to it as we possibly can? So I guess so. I'm just wanting to connect in to let you know that my doors are open for as a living coach. So if you're moving through anything, any loss, if you want to get some, if you want to connect with a spiritual counselor, I'm available, ready, willing, and able. I love that work. I'm going to be doing some hospice work here, working with people who are actually in the active process of leaving their bodies, because that also should be a spiritually powerful time and period for people. And then I'll go back into doing probably Sunday Night Alive, because I like Sunday nights very much. And I want to begin to do a Life of Spiritual Power series where we can really kind of start from the beginning and walk through it. And then also more than likely a class on the back nine. It's like, or some kind of, maybe a support group really. And by the way, I live in a 55 plus community here. So one of the things that happened during the hurricane is Warren, who lives next door, he's 80, he has COPD and heart issues, and he's diabetic. And he's the brother-in-law of the people who own the house I'm renting, who are the same people who bought my car in my pictures. By the way, do not let it go unnoticed how I sold these people my car, and 7 months later, I'm in their house with my car in their pictures. It's called letting the world work for you, letting the universe unfold for your greater good, expecting miracles, because it is a miracle. So we had the hurricane. I didn't know Warren. I'd only been here for 6 or 7 days, really. He refused to leave because I was here. So he's next door, 80 years old, sitting out the hurricane because I'm over here sitting out the hurricane. And he went out and bought a generator 2 days later because we had no power. So that he drives for hours looking for generators, buys a generator so that he can make coffee and plug in an electric skillet. And the whole neighborhood showed up at his house for 10 days for coffee and bacon and eggs in the morning. So in the midst of total destruction and chaos, I mean total, it's like so much loss, financial loss, we lost 1,000 trees just here in this community, this 55 plus community, 1,000 trees lost. How many birds, how many raccoons, so much sadness and loss. Yet in the middle of all that sadness and loss is hope and perseverance and a bright future and more tomorrow, and this too shall pass. And so it's one of the ways we have to live, really. That and I it's not always easy. I'm not saying it's easy, because I had many, many dark days, many days of I'm not ready to leave. I don't want to have another stroke. I don't want to blah blah blah. Many, many days of having to do my spiritual practice, but as part of what a living coach is for, is to help you move through those periods. So, I like you would call people and say, please pray with me, know with the truth with me that even though it doesn't feel like it, everything is working together for my greater good. Even though it doesn't feel like God is real, I'm telling you, God is real. It's not the God of our childhood. There's no man with a white beard anywhere, but there is love, and it is everywhere. And it's available always. Always. So anyway, that's it for me really tonight. I just wanted to check in. I wanted to kind of get back on the horse, because I was feeling a little distant and lazy from you, because it's been about 6 weeks since I've been home. I am doing so great. I am happy. I guess in my perfect world, I'd probably live in Africa, but It's not a practical thing to do. And I also love being here. So I'm going to buy a home and settle here, and I can still go back. I'm probably going to take a group back to Kenya next year, to East Africa. So stay tuned for Sunday Night Alive. I will begin to post on my Facebook page about that. If you're from North Carolina, please do come and see me while I'm there. You can email me at revdschubert@gmail.com. We can hook up there, or Eileen and Vincent Jenna, who are dear friends of mine and who also came to North Africa to visit, are hosting a party on Sunday afternoon. I'd be happy to tell you where that is. So anyway, so I'm just so happy to be back with you. I'm so happy if you're with me today. It's going to take a moment for us to get back into the swing of things, but let me pray for us. I'm going to assume you have a challenge, because everyone has challenges. I'm going to assume you're working with something. Kind of, Heather, I know that you're working with a physical condition. Hilda, I don't know you, but everybody's got something, right? So what I want, my biggest intention in this moment, is to remind all of us that we are not victims, that we are powerful co-creators, that whatever is happening, there are great blessings, great potential and possibility coming from it. And so join with me as I close us in prayer. Misty, close us in prayer. So turn within. Again, we turn within to the power of love within us, the power of peace within us, the healing presence within us. That power and that presence and that healing energy, that loving energy, is more powerful than any external circumstance you can experience. Doesn't matter what it is. There is no experience you're having that you could convince me that it all is lost for you, because it is not. All is just starting for you. And so by turning within, we recognize a power and a presence of infinite intelligence and wisdom, of love, of peace. I call it God. You can call it anything you want to. You can call it the quantum field of infinite potential. You can call it the universe. You can call it love. And what I know is that we are made in its image and likeness. We are of it. We are connected to it. It is not apart from us. It is not separate from us. It's not over there. It's over here. It's inside of us. It is in the space of your heart. Where you're going to find God is in your heart. And so as we center into our heart space, I speak my word, which is a word of law. It is an active word which moves molecules around, simply knowing for each and every one of us that whatever challenges we are facing, whatever challenges you are facing, this intelligence is walking and facing them with you. That if you need peace, peace is possible. If you need a healing, healing is possible. If you need community, community is possible. And so I accept for each one of us that we let go of any resistance to help, to holy help. We let go of anything that would block our experience of peace, our experience of love, our experience of community. It is right here and right now, not tomorrow, not in the future, but in this moment. And so say yes to that inside your own soul. Yes to the help. Yes to the support. Yes to the comfort. And yes to the unfolding of perfect and miraculous outcomes. Because this is possible. I know this is possible because I am living proof, as are you. And so I just simply release my word into the activity of this law of attraction, this law of reciprocity, this law of cause and effect. These spiritual principles that cannot help but act on our behalf when we believe in them. And I believe in them, whether you do or not. And so my word is a power unto itself. I accept its fulfillment, and we do this together by saying, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Oh my God, I love praying with you. So I will see you next Sunday at 6 o'clock. I'm going to come back. I hope you come back too. And if you need anything, please do not hesitate to email me. Do not hesitate. I would love to connect with you. I would love to work with you if you want to start working with a living coach. And I look forward to seeing you in North Carolina. So peace and blessings. Much love. Until next time. Love, love, and more love.